Ombudsman of St. Martin gives the 2019 annual report. Member of Parliament for the PFP responds to former Minister of Romy. And union leaders in the justice chain meets with their members to discuss ongoing issues. Those are the headlines for Monday, November the 23rd, 2020. Good evening, viewers. This is SXM Daily News, and I'm Valerie from Britain. I want to thank you for tuning in this evening. And as usual, we have a full newscast for you, so let's get started. In our first story, following what was described as a fruitful meeting on Friday between the Honorable Minister of Justice, Anna Richardson, and representatives of the various unions representing employees in the justice chain, namely WICSU, PSU, ABVO, St. Martin, and NAPB, on Monday, November 23rd, the unions met with their members. The purpose of the meeting, which took place at the Owen Baco Richardson Little League Stadium, was to bring union affiliates up to speed in relation to the conclusion of the meeting held with Justice Minister on Friday last, November the 20th. Some of the issues discussed with the Minister of Justice at the time varied. They included, among others, pending matters of overtime as well as the function book. However, during the meeting held today, Monday morning, it was decided that a list of matters of concern will be put in writing by union members to their respective unions for further discussion with the minister. President of the NAPB, Inspector Rojarel Mauricia, spoke to the Voice of St. Martin's news department. We would like to apologize in advance, however, for the quality of the audio, as it may be a bit difficult to understand.
Today we had a planned meeting in order to inform the members on how it went in the meeting with the minister. Now, certain issue that concerned them was addressed with the minister, and we informed them today what was the minister's response on those issues. One of them was for sure the overtime business, whereby we got to understand that the minister said that she wants to work 20 hours, and that 20 hours have to be, internally divided, not more than 20 per month and not more than 10 per week. Confronted the minister with that point. The minister said that she never addressed so. What she said, the 20 hours is flat, and I believe that to basically to control the overtime, because the minister don't want to release them in overtime, and whatever you make, whatever each member make after that 20 hours, she wanted to be justified in the sense that the reason why, but once you fill in the overtime, it have a reason why you have to justify that overtime. That was clear. We presented to our members, and they replied back for us to go to the management team, because they got that from the management team how to work and how it is. So now I believe to be throwing things to each other, blame each other, the unions would like to prepare a meeting now with the minister and the management team from the police in order to have this clear. So the members then know this is what the minister wants, and this is how we're going to do it. That was one for the overtime. About the 40 cent and 4 guilders issue, indeed, the minister said that the 40 cent, she get it from the law, which is in the Act Procedures 2011, and that's what she worked for. She very amazed where that 4 guilders came from, but we let her to know that that 4 guilders we have been collecting it since 10 years. So we're preparing, on the request from the minister, to present her a document whereby that 40 cent have been put to 4 guilders. Ironically enough, it cannot be found here in St. Martin, but it was back then when it was Netherlands Antilles, and remember that minister back then brought it up and shortly changed it because it wasn't working, that 40 cent with that 4 guilders, because it's just like you work as a slave.
Mm-hmm. And as we continue now in other news, the St. Martin Academy Alumni Association will be launched on this Sunday, November the 29th, 2020. Now, while it has been incorporated since last year, 2019, it is only now being launched. Speaking to our news department, President of the association, Ms. Solange Ludmila Duncan, spoke to us about the association, its vision and mission.
The vision of the Alumni Association is to create basically a new culture and mindset on St. Martin, that for all of us that went to a school, any school, that we give back to that school, give back to the students, the staff in a number of different ways. And so the idea is to create an organization that really fosters personal development and growth, but also to fraternity and just support on a regular basis. The mission is to create programs that will encourage both students and alumni to be the best version of themselves, to offer networking and also funding opportunities, so that we're helping each other out to get to where we want to be and to achieve our goals. Okay. And so that is what the alumni is about. We have a number of different values, and those come from the school that instilled those values in us. So excellence, always doing your best, no matter what. Not everyone is going to have good grades, but if you do your best, and in different areas, whether you're a creative, whether you're into technology, excellence is important to us. Again, fraternity, brotherhood, we all have something that connects us to each other, so that is important.
The association's president also spoke to us about the association's values.
So we have a number of different values that drive us, and they all actually have been developed from those values that were instilled in us by the school itself. So there's compassion, caring for each other, and taking care of each other is important. Excellence. Not everyone is going to be a top student, but we all have gifts, and we all can achieve to be the best version of ourselves. So always striving for excellence, that is also important. Entrepreneurship, because we believe that even if you don't aspire to own your own company, in organizations, you can have an entrepreneurial spirit, which is about being innovative and creating new ideas. That is also very important for us, because the world is changing so much. So we need to constantly not only adapt, but create new solutions to problems. Fraternity is also important, so that brotherhood, we're connected by the school, and so we want to look out for each other and really make that bond stronger between students and former students, as well as, of course, empowerment. Okay. So making sure that everyone is empowered to feel that they can accomplish anything that they want to.
And as we continue now in other news, the House of Parliament sat in a Central Committee meeting on Thursday last, November the 19th, 2020, regarding the advice on the appointment of a member of the General Audit Chamber and the 2019 annual report of the Ombudsman. In her presentation, the Ombudsman for St. Martin, Gwendoline Mossel, gave the annual report for the year 2019. Ms. Mossel stated that this year's report covers the first year of her tenure with the theme Reaching Out and Empowering the People. She embarked on a community outreach program by reaching out to the people of St. Martin about the many concerns about the recovery process and the promises made by the government to the people.
This year's report covers the first year of my tenure. With the theme Reaching Out and Empowering the People, I embarked on a community outreach program by reaching out to the people of St. Martin following the many concerns about the recovery process and promises that were made by government to the people following the hurricanes in 2017. The objective of the program was threefold. First, it was to introduce the new ombudsman to the people of St. Martin. Secondly, it was to visit the districts to seek out the concerns, grievances, and complaints of the people, particularly the most vulnerable. And lastly, to promote awareness on the role of our institution. The result of the outreach program was presented in a report, Home Repair, a revelation of a social crisis. A short film to complement the report was also released. Based on the findings in the report, the following recommendations were made. The present pace, the pace at that time of the home repair had to be improved. Government has to review the criteria for eligibility for home repair, taking extenuating circumstances into consideration. The need for proper data gathering and analysis in terms of the population, especially regarding the elderly and other vulnerable persons on which effective planning and policies can be based. This type of information is vital, particularly in the event of a natural disaster when fast decision-making is necessary. The present pandemic is a perfect example of this, especially when it relates to food distribution. There must be better controls and coordination by government on organizations, international organizations as well, executing repair works to ensure the quality of the work carried out. The National Ordinance Financial Assistance must be reviewed and adjusted to tackle the challenges that persons currently face when transitioning from a temporary shelter or housing back into society. The need for affordable housing must be addressed with absolute urgency. While this is primarily the task of the St. Martin Housing Development Foundation, government has an equally important role in this based on international human rights law, specifically the right to adequate housing. No formal response to the recommendations has been made by government to date. However, a meeting with the Council of Ministers and the NRPB to discuss the report was recently postponed and has been tentatively rescheduled for next month.
And still to come, Minister Doran answers questions posed by the various MPs on this long lease land issue. We'll have the details to that story and much more when SXM Daily News returns.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching SXM Daily News, and I'm Valerie Van Putten. As we continue now, in other news, the House of Parliament also sat in a public meeting on November the 20th, 2020. The public meeting was adjourned on November the 4th, 2020, and was reconvened last Friday. The Minister of Public Housing, Spatial Planning, Environment and Infrastructure, the Honorable Egbert Doran, was in attendance to discuss updates from the Minister regarding the current long lease land issues. This meeting was requested by MPs G.S. Heiliger, Martin, MP OEC Otley, and MP R. Bryson. In his presentation about the long lease land issue, the Minister started with questions posed by the various MPs.
I'll start with questions posed by MP Akim Arundel. What is the present policy of giving out long lease land? The standard norm is that a request is addressed to the minister and submitted and booked in at the Government Administration Building. This is then handled as an application through the Department of Domain Affairs, whereby the minister is advised upon the following follow-up process in handling of said request. Who decides who gets long lease land? Upon advice of the Domain Affairs Department and its consultations with other departments if needed, the minister is provided with an integral advice to make the final decision on issues of long lease land. How is the canon formed? The canon is calculated based on the location where the price per square meter is dependent on the location of said parcel, the designated purpose of the parcel, which is namely residential, commercial, water, agricultural, or industrial. However, it is ultimately the decision and discretion of the minister. Where are the zoning plans for St. Martin? The zoning plans have been drafted to cover all districts, 2 of which are in the final stages of approval. How many persons are working in the Domain Affairs Department? There are 3 persons currently working at the Domain Affairs Department, which consists of a secretary, an administrative worker, and a policy advisor. Additionally, there is 1 temporary staff member assisting the Department of Domain Affairs at the moment. Question number 6. How many requests are processed per month? Approximately 10 requests are processed on a monthly basis by the Department of Domain Affairs. Number 7 of MP Arundel. Has VROMI ever done a study on what the real possible fees that can be collected? Research conducted on the canon fees are currently being used since I took office. I've put a lot of emphasis on having consistency in regards to the canon fees issued on parcels for various areas. I would like to give a brief update on the last 5 years with respect to the canon that was collected and what is expected for 2020. For 2016, we collected 5.2 million guilders in canon. 2017, 3.3 million guilders. 2018, 4.9. 2019, 5.3 million guilders. And it is expected by the end of 2020 for us to have collected 4.3 million.
And Member of Parliament for the National Alliance, Christophe Emmanuel, said that the former acting head of the Domain Affairs gave 3 statements to the national detectives which formed the basis for charges filed against him and his chief of staff. The Member of Parliament expounded further.
The former head of Domain Affairs, Madam Chair Lady, gave 3 statements to the national detective which formed the basis for charges filed against me and my chief of staff. Now I want to say something to the whole entire population of St. Martin. Prior to 2016, Madam Chair Lady, I did not know the young lady, the chief of staff. I've never met her before. I knew nothing of her, nothing prior to 2016. December the 20th is when I took office, 2016, as a minister. I met her for the first time on the 12th of December, 2016. Prior to that, I didn't know her, Madam Chair Lady. Madam Chair Lady, and the minister answered the questions very well. The former acting head of Domain Affairs stated his PDAF has to be on approved documents to prevent changes are made contrary to what he approved, whereas his job was only to advise as a civil servant. Now, these are statements that was given to the national detective. And the minister said, no, it's put up whether it's on or not, don't make no difference. But to the national detective, he said, his PDAF has to be on approved documents to prevent that changes are made contrary to what he approved, whereas his job is only to advise as a civil servant. Madam Chair Lady, he went on to say, he also stated that during my tenure, he decided on his own that certain companies can only receive 30 years instead of the legally determined 60 years. The minister said that's not the role of a civil servant. Madam Chair Lady, because this was corrected, he stated to the detectives that the document may have been forged. Madam Chair Lady, This led to the unjust charge of forgery. The unjust charge of forgery. And this is the reason why the question was asked to the minister concerning undermining the ministers of civil servant. Madam Chair Lady, the former acting head of Domain Affairs stated to the detectives, in all the ring road decrees, I put a new condition under L dot in which it states that the notary is to send a draft decree of issuance to Domain Affairs for approval before making up and signing the definite deed. This is a new condition that I put in with all the parcels because of the sensitivity of the case. He therefore admitted to the detectives that he tampered with the documents by sneaking in this new condition without authorization because a decision was taken contrary to his advice. Madam Chair Lady, to the minister, he also admitted that this new condition would be removed in the future, as he knowingly admitted that it is ultimately the minister who has the authority. Madam Chair Lady, this led to the charges of abuse of power.
And then Member of Parliament, the Honorable Rayon Peterson, in responding back to the former Minister of Romy, said that it seems that he is the topic of the meeting and he likes it. The Member of Parliament also said he wanted to explain to the people of St. Martin what really went down. And he also expounded further.
It seems that I am the topic of this meeting, and I like it. We received documents this morning regarding the Alegria case, and this case puts this problem very well into perspective. You see, there are minutes in this meeting in that file with myself, the head of permits, former Minister Gitterson, and other cabinet members from the then minister. Probably the other speakers will want to mention this and say that maybe the minutes would somehow entail that I was in agreement with the issuance of the water rights at Alegria. But to that I say, the reading comprehension needs work. In the minutes, which were taken by Alegria reps, and thus are not official government minutes, it is explicitly stated that Domain Affairs was preparing the advice, so no concrete yes or no has been given. The advice actually was no. You see, when a minister wants to issue a big piece of land or water in long lease, he instructs the department to go and sit with the applicants to discuss the general conditions of the long lease. The canon, the purpose of the property, the length of the long lease, the zoning in the area are discussed prior to the advising. After said meeting, the department goes to work and requests advice from the relevant departments and third parties, in this case, the Nature Foundation, who also advised negative. As for the gliding scale, I, as the former department head of Domain Affairs, can tell you exactly where it came from. It came from a minister, because the department actually always advises to not do a gliding scale, but to just up the canon as per the usual canon. But it's funny that my colleague MP Emmanuel mentioned this, because in the case of Pasangran Hotel, where the department also advised to up the canon as per the normal procedure, the Minister of Romy was bashed in Parliament for wanting to up the canon at all, and they requested a gliding scale for whatever reason. I'm also happy that my colleague brought up this same case because, as it is known, it was me who was the acting head of the Domain Affairs Department back then. So again, I am here to make sure that people of St. Martin are not misinformed. Let me explain to the people of St. Martin what really went on when I was the acting head of Domain Affairs. Let me put it in perspective. First of all, how do you sneak in a new condition into a decree if it is only the minister who can make the final decision and he also signs that final decision? So are we saying that a minister did not read the final decree that he was proposed to sign and just put his signature on it? Regarding forged documents, I want to request the Minister of Romy to make said documents available if we could, so that everybody could see it, including the public, since they are being mentioned here in public as well. If there was no doubt in the origin of said signature, why would the then Minister of Romy come all the way down to the Department of Domain Affairs, for the first time, by the way, to ask the department head to not reach too much into it because he will invite said lady to come and sign the document again in front of him? After which the acting department head said, no, there's no need because that is not my business. Let's show the people of St. Martin what the signatures look like and explain why the lady came within half an hour of that same acting head of Department of Affairs making an issue out of the situation. Why did she come so early to the government building after half an hour to sign it in front of him? Why, if there was no need? Let the people decide what was wrong and what was right. Continue the work you started before, the governor said. But what we failed to tell the people of St. Martin is that almost none of the persons had a request in by the ministry prior to that day. So are we referring to that as backdating as well? You see, people of St. Martin, as a civil servant, you go through the political warfield, as we call it. I can say that when this controversial case came about, I was invited to the former minister's business place, a gym, where I was invited to come upstairs, sit in private, and to talk about this exact issuance. It is in this same meeting that I told the minister that this is going to be a problem legally. This is going to be an issue. If the former minister was ever questioned, would he admit that the civil servant gave him a warning that this case was controversial? Will he admit that he said he does not care because he is in his right? Will the same minister admit that he also offered me, a young civil servant, a piece of land of approximately 2,000 square meters in the area of Over the Bank, and that I declined because as an acting department head, I could not accept land knowing that there are more than a couple of 100 people in St. Martin who have requested land before me and still haven't received an answer yet, which was going to be his responsibility as a minister of Romi.
Now, turning to our weather forecast for November the 23rd, 2020, the Atlantic high pressure system continues to generate a dry and stable region. The presence of Saharan dust will account for slightly hazy conditions and aid in limiting shower activity across the local area. Furthermore, due to the slackening of the pressure gradient, winds and seas are gradually subsiding. Nevertheless, small craft operators and sea bathers should continue to exercise caution. So the outlook through Wednesday midday, partly cloudy with local showers. Now, let's turn to your 3-day forecast. And still to come, updates of COVID-19 local cases. I'll have the details to that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
The innovative Banco Matico contactless smart card. Your Banco Matico smart card is now equipped with a contactless feature for payments, so get ready to tap and go. Contactless payments are fast, easy, secure, and accepted worldwide at all Maestro-enabled contactless terminals. Tap for transactions equivalent to or less than 100 NAF, or the US dollar equivalent. You will receive notifications via email anytime you tap. Tap, tap, and pay fast with WIB. For more information, visit our website at wib-bank.net. Tap and go with your partner in progress.
And now, as we end this edition of SXM Daily News for this evening, in this COVID-related item, as of November the 22nd, there were 11 persons who tested positive for COVID-19, increasing the total active cases to 92. The total number of confirmed cases is now 1,007. The Collective Prevention Services, CPS, are monitoring 90 people in home isolation. 2 patients are hospitalized at the St. Martin Medical Center, and the total number of deaths due to COVID-19 is 25. The number of people recovered since the first case surfaced on St. Martin remains at 890. 181 people are in quarantine based on contact tracing investigations carried out by CPS of persons who may have been in contact with any of the active cases. CPS has tested 1,373 travelers arriving at the Princess Juliana International Airport and 7,200 people throughout the community. And with that, viewers, we've come to the end of this edition of SXM Daily News for this evening. I am Valerie Van Putten, and thanking you for joining me this evening. And just a reminder that this and other programs are available online. Simply log on to stmartinmediacenter.com for viewing. And on behalf of SXM Daily News team, we thank you for watching and plan on meeting you right back here again tomorrow.